I wanted to welcome everyone. If you're watching online, welcome. This is our October 15 PAC meeting. I'd like to ask Lieutenant Eberly for roll call, please.
Good evening, Chair Tokalahi. There are a couple absences from the committee tonight, but also want to touch on Assistant City Manager Pinion Robinson will be watching via Zoom, and in her place will be the City Manager, Christina Lilovich, to my right. I'll call roll. Member Alm?
Present.
Member Kamina?
Present.
Member Ruiz?
Present.
Vice Chair Davidi?
Present.
Chair Tokalahi?
Present.
Alternate Member Locks?
Here.
Absent tonight is Member Alvarez, Member Nguyen, and alternate Member Valdez. So Member Locks, you will be a voting member tonight.
Thank you. How's our interpretation?
My fingers are crossed. I hope it is excellent tonight. Thank you. Before we begin, we would like to announce that tonight's meeting will include Spanish language simultaneous and consecutive interpretation provided by qualified interpreters on the Spanish channel. If you are watching on Zoom, you can join the Spanish channel by clicking on the interpretation icon in the Zoom toolbar. It looks like a globe. If you are attending in person and don't have access to the Zoom meeting from your mobile device, please come see me or Ms. Komoda, and we will get you set up with a device so you can listen to the meeting in Spanish. As a reminder, we ask everyone participating tonight to speak slowly to allow our interpreter to effectively express your comments. I would now like to invite the interpreter to interpret what I said on Spanish on this channel.
Buenas noches. Antes de comenzar, les anunciamos que la reunión de esta noche contará con interpretación simultánea y consecutiva en español a cargo de intérpretes cualificados en el canal de español. Si están asistiendo por medio de Zoom, pueden unirse al canal de español haciendo clic en el icono de interpretación en la barra de herramientas de Zoom, que parece un globo terráqueo. Si están asistiendo en persona y no tienen acceso a la reunión de Zoom desde su dispositivo móvil, por favor, vengan a verme a mí o a la señora Komoda y les proporcionaremos un dispositivo para que puedan escuchar la reunión en español. Les recordamos que les pedimos a todos los participantes que hablen despacio para que nuestro intérprete pueda expresar sus comentarios eficazmente. Gracias.
Thank you. This meeting tonight is being recorded, and members of the public can watch online or listen by phone by calling 669-444-9171 using the meeting ID 898-5264-7245 and the pound symbol. There will be an opportunity for public comment for those participating in person. Each person will have 2 minutes to provide their comments. We invite each of you to introduce yourselves by name before presenting your comments. We are also offering closed captioning for this evening's meeting on Zoom. Select the live transcript button on the Zoom to enable this feature. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So let's look it up. Sorry, to approve our minute from the last meeting. But before we do that, I want to invite committee members for questions. I hope you all have a look into the last minute. Yeah? Any questions on the, no?
None, Chair.
Okay. Now I'd like to open up for public comments on the last minute. Any public comments? No? Okay, I'm going to close public comment on the last minute. Yeah, thank you. Okay, I'm going to close public comment. Okay, if there's no questions, no comments, request a motion and a second to approve our minutes.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Motion to approve, any second?
Chair, I'll second.
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 Thank you.
Sorry,
Okay, we have 2 members seconds.
three
Aye.
motion.
It's great.
Thank you.
One more is better.
Yeah.
I will call a vote. Member Alm,
Approve.
Member Camina,
Approved.
Member Locks,
Yes.
Member Ruiz,
Approved.
Vice Chair DeViti,
Approved.
and Chair Tokalahi.
Approved.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to come back to public comments. I would like to open public comments on any matters that are not listed on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I think the mic is on.
Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Nice to see you. Glad the rain has stopped. I just wanted to talk again a little bit about how it seems like these committee meetings and agendas are very siloed. And what I mean by that is like something happens at a meeting and then it doesn't get carried over. There's no follow-up. We don't know what happened. And one concrete example I can give you about that is when this committee received a presentation on drones as first responders and moved because you heard so many community voices that the police department organized to come because it seemed like they had had a conversation about community members not feeling safe and that this drones as first responders was a solution perhaps to more safety in their community. And so unlike other things that you've decided, the police department brought that to city council right away, and city council approved the purchase. So community spoke out also and said, because you're promising this to community as a way to improve safety, what are the key performance measures that you're going to have? We understand there's a dashboard. We understand there's communities that have done it. But we never heard the answer to that. The council approved. We don't know if they've been purchased, if they're in service. It's like, what I mean by siloed is like that happened and now it's like it never happened. And so I want you all to know, like you have staff to help you all do what you want to do on this committee and to bring community voice into these conversations. And so it does seem like they're driving a lot of the work, and that's not a secret, like they're used to driving in the police department. But you all should be saying what you would like from them. Like we want to hear back. Did the purchase get approved? What are the key performance measures and all of that? So I just want to bring that to your attention again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, folks. I'm Steve Bingham from Terra Linda. And again, I want to thank you for your service doing this hard work. And I also want to, as I have, I think, before, encourage you, picking up on what Heidi said, to take charge. You have, even though this is only advisory, you have a certain amount of power, and there are things you can ask and get done. And then if they don't get done, then you can call them on it. So just feel the fact you're behind that diocese and you have power to get things done. The other comment I want to make, and we are going to apparently have a discussion, further discussion tonight on what the police department has defined as police culture, at least in the presentation made a month or so ago, which in the minds of many in the community had very little to do with police culture. And I really hope that you will ask for a follow-up meeting soon. My motivation and many of the people in community, their primary motivation is police culture issues. And my 2-second example of that is the officers who stood by while Officer Nail beat up on Julio Lopez, and they didn't do anything. And that's called the silent blue line. And we need to get at it, because it's there. We know it's there, and it's hopefully something that you can play a role in getting the department to be clear on. And in part, you need a full discussion with experts that you choose to come and talk about police culture. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Do we have any other comments?
Good evening. I second the previous speakers on this board committee getting more engaged, asking more of. In my humble opinion, with being around these type of meetings for the last 10 years or so, that when you have a chair who's closely tied to the city, a chair who's closely tied to the county, a chair who's gets grants from the county and the city, that's a problem. I would hope that chairs going forward is not someone who's closely tied to the city with grants, the county. That's an issue. Because when I'm here and I have the agenda in front of me and I want to make comments on the end of your agenda, committee reports, he shuts me down. He says, we don't have comment on that. I want to know from the board, is that true? From this committee, is that true? Is that policy? Did you put policy when this committee was created that public can't comment on certain items on the agenda? Later on the agenda, I'm going to come back before and speak on committee reports again. I want to see if he shuts me down. I want to demand answers from you all. Is that your policy? That's what I want to know. And I'm going to stand here until you tell me if that's your policy or not. But that's I understand. No, well, if you tell me you can't, I need to know why. So
we can't comment on things that are not agendized for tonight.
I understand. But if you tell me I can't speak on it, why? I want to know then, not now. So, closely tied to the city, closely tied. I imagine it has a big part of the agenda, what the agenda is for every meeting. You talk to the sergeant here, lieutenant, excuse me, and they create the agenda. They have questions about the agenda. That's a problem.
Thank you. Any other comments? No, I see no other comments. I'm going to close public comments on matters that are not in the agenda. I'm going to come back to the committee. So the other agenda items in front of you guys is 2A, which is the response to the police culture. And I think I'm going to direct to the staff on that one.
Thank you, Chair Tokalahi. Good evening, PAC members. The first item on the agenda tonight is a response to the police culture presentation that was presented in August. You received a staff report during that meeting as well as an oral presentation from Beth Dancy of Public Safety Counseling Group and Sergeant Mike Mathis, who is presenting on behalf of the San Rafael Police Employees Association. Much of the materials were provided during that time. At this time, in uniform with our other topics, this is being brought back to the committee for feedback. All of the items are attached to your packet. In addition, we also wanted to include the 2025 work plan feedback. This is a document that was provided, or the staff compiled rather, after we had our special meeting last January when we identified and voted on the topics that the PAC wanted to prioritize and the feedback that was provided as far as maybe subtopics or other items specific to each of those topics. So for your reference, that's also included. So at this time, I'll turn it back over to the committee for any questions or comments.
Thank you. Okay. I'm just going to start from my left. If any of the members have
Bookends tonight.
any questions, any questions regarding the response to the police culture?
I need clarification. I have comments versus questions. So are we
Questions.
questions?
Any question?
No question.
No questions? Okay. I'm going to come back to the public comment. So I'm going to open the floor for public comment with regards to the presentation on police culture. Do I have any comments? Go. Yeah.
Steve Bingham, again, Terra Linda. I alluded in my earlier public comment, the presentation on mental health policies and treatment within the police department at the last section was very, very informative and interesting, and many aspects of it. I think the department is to be applauded for the kind of care of its officers that was reflected in her presentation. The problem is, if you step back and think about it, why is there that level of fear within the department that causes people to have extreme mental health issues? And that question is the kind of question that gets explored in police culture. One thing it could be, and we've talked about this from time to time, is you may notice that San Rafael police almost never get out of their cars unless it's to detain someone. It's us versus them, the other. There isn't the community interaction. There are, coffee with a cop. There are occasional exceptions to the rule. But there's something fundamentally that has to be looked at in terms of how the police are trained and formed to interact with the public. And we saw the end result because that's not done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. Heidi Merchant. I agree with what Steve said, and I also just want to highlight again that the presentation wasn't what a lot of community members have been asking for. So while it addressed some pieces that maybe the department felt comfortable talking about, it didn't provide an assessment of how their staff feel about the culture and how the community perceives the culture. And so to have a consultant, Beth Dancy, who's paid $250,000, come and tell us that even though all of these officers are receiving these mental health services, she can guarantee they're doing a fine job. Again, what are the key performance measures of doing a fine job? How do people feel about working for the department? What kind of cultural assessment has been done there? What has been done with the neighborhoods that are served? Because people, I believe most people go into law enforcement because they care about the community and they want to help people. And so they can't help people in a way that is collaborative and supportive and not like savior or warrior like without the people's words on what does that mean to me as someone who's served by law enforcement to feel safe and protected. And I think that's what's been asked for ever since we saw the beating of Julio Jimenez Lopez. And now I feel like it's even more important if Brandon Nail is going to go back on the streets after being acquitted yesterday. How does the community feel about that? Do they feel that he was one bad apple who's going to be back on the street? Or do they feel like the people that stood around, or someone who was brand new off of a training who also stood there and helped, do they feel like they're safe? Because I think we're all here for the same reason. We want community safety. We want to partner with each other. We want to see each other as humans. But when reports like this come out that don't address those things, we feel frustrated again. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? I mean, like, no comments from public.
I'm just going to take a couple of seconds. I, tonight, only had a chance to skim the report. And I want to support what Heidi and Stephen said. It struck me, I have to admit, when I finished it, I thought of the song, Is That All There Is? Yes, it's a nice description of what police culture can be and sometimes is, but I felt I was not reading any reality. There's an interaction between the police culture and the culture that it sits in, and I didn't see that. And what I'm hearing today is it absolutely has to address that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Police culture. Well, I'll say this. Sometimes you guys sum it up as everyone, communities not supporting the police, and that's not true. But I'll say this to Lieutenant Ellerby and to Chief Spiller. You had an officer on your force. You know him very well. He's no longer here. He's African American. And you knew what he was doing in the streets. He's gone. Spiller knows. You knew what this African American cop, who's not here anymore, was doing in the streets to black men. You've heard it. He was attacking black men. This is recently, before he's gone now. He was in the streets of Santa Fe, pulling black men over. He's one of the most aggressive cops I've ever seen in my life. I'm from Marin City. I've seen some aggressive cops. He was terrible. And you know this. And you know it. Because you've heard it before. So we say police culture and the community not supporting you, but you allow these things. Of course, there are a lot of good cops. I grew up with many people that are good cops, and now their sons are cops. We support them. But when you allow this gentleman who was here in Santa Fe to attack, pull over, unwarranted, and the RIPA data you have now shows some of his doings. He was in the streets of Santa Fe pulling over black men like there was no tomorrow. I saw it with my own eyes. That's police culture. What you allow, what you say is okay by not pulling it in. You know who he is. I won't say his name now. His first name starts with an E. He's from the East Bay. He was a menace in the streets of Santa Fe, a tyrant, and you allowed it. That's police culture in Santa Fe. I hope not on a wide scale, but to black men, it is.
Thank you. Any other comments? I see none. I'm going to close public comments. I'm going to come back to, I'm going to ask some of the staff if any of you have
I've talked to some of you offline, and Ms. Komoda said it. Culture is a very difficult topic to narrow down, and we're doing our best to define it and present it in a way that you want us to. So it sounds like we might have missed the mark. And moving forward, I would recommend that we bring this back up in the 2026 work plan. And then we can have a deeper dive conversation on what it is exactly you would like us to present on, and we'd be happy to present on that.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind.
Chair, do you mind if I just add something to Lieutenant Eberly's comment? I think one of the reasons that the staff come back after the item is presented, as Teresa mentioned, is to give the committee an opportunity to give feedback to staff about how did that presentation land with you. And give us an opportunity to then hear where you're coming from and what more you might want on that topic. So I think the opportunity for that is now, and we'd love to hear your thoughts.
Thank you. So I want everyone on the committee to think about that, because there's been a lot that we've been discussed over the past few months regarding the police culture. There's also a recommendation on the table to bring back this particular topic or issue to include in our 2026 work plan. But before I come back to you guys for comments, if you guys wanted to bring this back, I would want to hear very specific, like, what do you mean by culture? You know, because I think the reason why we haven't hit this on the head, because it's a very wide issue, and you know, my definitions is different from anybody else. You know, how we view it, how we look at it, it's all different. So I'll come back to you guys for comments, and if you'd like to sort of like identify, you know, what particular route or area of the culture that
Chair,
you wanted to bring back for our
if it
next
pleases you, can I make
work plan.
can I make a suggestion? If we were to focus our comments tonight on the presentation that was given, and then if you wanted to at the end, somebody can make a motion or a recommendation. You don't have to, you can, because there will be an opportunity in January that the whole entire meeting will be devoted to the 2026 work plan. That might be an easier venue that the public will be invited to, of course, to discuss what it is that you define as culture. It'll also give the committee members some time to think about what it is to engage with the community and bring that back during the work plan meeting.
Yeah. I mean, like, we can do both. If you're ready for it tonight, for the committee members, if you have those ideas now, we can put that forward. If not, you can sleep on it, think about it, talk about it, and we can bring it back to our work plan next year. I'm totally fine with that. Okay. You know, because we wanted to make sure that once we tackle that again, we want to make sure that we got it right.
Exactly.
Yeah? Okay, so with that, I'm going to start with Daniel, Member Elm, sorry, for comments.
Thank you, Chair. I expressed a lot of my comments in the last meeting. I do want to share that I am very grateful and appreciative that we have a strong mental health program. I don't want to dismiss that from my previous comments, and want to make sure that I'm clarifying that. I do still personally feel it's really tough for me to square that together on where that is putting culture together as a whole. For me, it's a lot of what we received is these are our ideals and what we are striving to be. And I will go back to my one recommendation, and how do we measure that we are making those ideals? How do we assure that they are happening? For me, that's really the touch point on culture, is checking in with ourselves, doing self-reflection. It's really important. Any organization that's very focused on their culture is touching back to their employees, doing employee engagement surveys that are confidential, where the employees can really speak their mind and give their input and impact of what their workplace is. Without those, I don't think we really have an understanding of we're meeting those ideals. I would personally like to confer with the community, and they always know they have an open door to communicate and talk to me. I would like to strategize with them. Do, of course, want to bring this back in 2026 for a work plan.
Thank you.
I'll go. In regards with the presentation, I think typically we do get some of the datas and reports in advance, and sometimes we don't. And the only recommendation I have, if we do present in the future, please provide those stats and data, because I know some of us, and in respect with Member Alm, I think he likes to take a deep dive into it, and that really helps us to kind of elevate our understanding of it too, so we appreciate what you offer here. And I think that could have maybe been a triggering point, that we didn't get those, and as a result, we went a little bit kind of in a very assertive way, demanding certain things. But overall, if this gets presented again, I'd like for us to receive some of the stats so we can analyze. Thank you.
Thank you. We're just going to keep going down. Yeah?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I actually feel kind of responsible in a way, because when we were asked what we would like to hear about police culture, I sent in, I guess it was to staff, and literally all the things that I asked to be covered were covered. And so I appreciated the effort. I particularly appreciated Sergeant talking about his personal challenges and going to WCPR, which is not something that people like to talk about. I ended up with the understanding, and maybe it's because of my background and I'm more familiar with both the good and the bad sides of law enforcement, that the San Rafael Police Department is making an effort to provide services so that I assume when people say the culture, they're perhaps thinking of more negative things. It would be really helpful to get specifics about what they'd like to hear about. But I'm appreciative of the fact that there is this service to the police department, to the officers. It's probably no secret that my husband is a psychologist that works with first responders. So there might have been a conversation about culture, and one of the issues that came up was, I think we talked about, was what about having a mandatory check-in? And I think that one response from, maybe it was, we'd have to check with the union, because that's a thing. But the people that I know that provide these services believe that if it's a mandatory sit-in, that it's not going to make a difference. And that's just one opinion. I really respect what Member Alm and Mr. DeViti had to say. But again, the presentation was literally covered the things that I'd asked about. But and there's always time for more. It's a wide open topic.
Thank you, Paul.
Lo voy a decir en español. Ya. Yo le agradezco a ustedes por toda la información que nos han dado. Uno como latino a veces no sabe lo que está pasando dentro de sus instalaciones y todo lo que conlleva ser un oficial de policía. Pero yo secundo lo de mis compañeros. Es muy importante que los oficiales pues estén bien, ¿cómo lo explico? Psicológicamente. Yo entiendo que son personas, entiendo que es un trabajo muy difícil de hacer, y pues mi comunidad siempre les agradece la atención que han tenido con ellos, pero a mí sí me gustaría escuchar que cuando ellos salen a trabajar a la comunidad, sobre todo en nuestra comunidad latina, pues que vayan contentos a hacer su trabajo y no vengan con frustraciones o algún problema. Entonces, es lo que yo pido. Siempre quisiera abundar más, pero yo pienso que mi comunidad a veces se siente un poquito, pues, que como que los agreden, pero bueno, es nuestra cultura, y pues sí me gustaría que los oficiales hicieran mejor su trabajo, porque somos una cultura diferente a la de ustedes. Muchas gracias.
Marina, if you can go ahead and translate that.
Yes. Okay, thank you for all the information that you've given us. As a Latina, I don't know really what happens in the facilities for all the police officers, but I second what my colleagues say. I want the officers to be well, psychologically as well. I understand that they are people, that they have a very difficult job. And my community thanks you for the attention paid to them. I'd like to hear, when the officers go out to the Latino communities, I want them to be happy, not take their frustrations with them or their problems. I'd like to say more, but my community feels a little like they hurt us, but that's our culture. I would like for the officers to do a better job because we have a different culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Member.
Okay. First, I'd like to say, can you hear me okay? First, I'd like to thank Teresa Olson for the police culture staff report that she provided for us in August. However, it is mostly theoretical. It does present, or she alluded to, a lot of Chief Spiller's vision for going forward, which I appreciate and do support. However, if you look at the very first slide that was presented, it says police culture and wellness. And I feel like the whole topic was on wellness and not the policing culture, aside from the theoretical, not the policing culture that the community experiences. And since I feel that I'm a representative of the community and a spokesperson for what is being said to me by individuals, I personally, myself and my family, over 40 years have not had any negative interactions with the San Rafael Police Department. I'm not talking about other departments, but the San Rafael Police Department, none. However, I do hear of problems from individuals within my community. In addition, my city council person, Rachel Kurtz, had indicated, and I have been hearing gunshots in our neighborhood. And there have never been gunshots when I was raising my children in my neighborhood. So I know that there's an increase in possible lawlessness, but also it's trust that is the foundation of good policing. And how is it that we're going to develop this trusting relationship and work on decreasing lawlessness and mistreatment? The community views police culture as mostly one of exerting power, mistreatment, watching, as community members had spoken earlier, watching as officers do wrong. And I, as a health professional, want my community to be a healthy environment. That's one of my values. And I feel that, and I'm working on actually getting I attended the NACOL conference, and I have spoken with a Stanford professor that I am working to see if she will come and present some of that other side of what community individuals see, talking about biases, how that is on both sides, the bias, how individuals deal with biases, would be of great value, not only for our community to hear what she has to say, but most importantly, what our committee needs to hear what she has to say and her suggestions for going forward. So I am working on that. Her schedule is booked for the rest of the year, and we're working on seeing when would be a time that she can come part of our 2026 scheduled speakers. I have this opportunity tonight as a voting member to say that I am going forward with making serious suggestions about who our speakers are. As I have said in the past, we spent a year with lots of learning. We needed lots of learning. We still have learning to do. But now is the time for action, for us to be actual advocates in our community, reporting back to our community what we learn, what is happening, and reporting to the policing what community is saying are the problems. Being able to have that two-way conversation. That's what I'm going to be working on. And I need to be able to find the balance between being an alternate most of the time versus a voting member, which carries a little bit more clout as far as us going forward and the kinds of presentations we have, because I feel that our committee is lacking in a lot of wealth that the community can provide for us to do our work as oversight. And that's the reason that we're here, is for oversight, not just to sit on a committee and take, a one way where we're taking in information, but we're not actually advocating or advising, because we're an advisory board, advising policies and so forth going forward, which is the next item to discuss on the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you all. As I mentioned before, we don't have to vote on this now, because I think there's that opportunity to bring in someone.
Mm-hmm.
There's also opportunity for us to go back and talk to folks in the communities, We also wanted to make sure that when we bring this back the next time, and hopefully that will be the last time, that we got it right I want to give us more time and space, take this back, discuss amongst us or with your, local affiliated groups that you work with, talk to them, identify, because from all these comments, there's a lot of, there's mental health approach. There's also the cultural appropriateness, what's appropriate out there. I can also look into the social interactions, the human interactions. When you put on the uniform, you're out in the community, you interact with folks on the ground in the communities. So there's a lot of different ways. So I would like to take this with you, learn more, ask questions, talk to the community folks, bring it back to our 2026 work plan.
Okay.
If you want to bring in someone from the outside to do the presentation, bring that too, so we can look at it. Let's make sure that this time we fill in all the gaps and we can all go home happy, because our community folks is happy with the results of what we're going to put forward. Is that okay?
Okay, very good. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Also, I'd just like to make a comment to active member locks this evening. I'm hoping that even though you're an alternate some of the times or most of the time, that we love your feedback and your input. And I think you've been very successful in suggesting that we make motions. And so I'm wanting to let you know that I value your input. You're welcome.
I do appreciate that comment sincerely. And so if you see me being more assertive, it's because I want this committee to grow professionally, not size but professionally. And
I think we all on the same boat on that. I think we all want the best for the committee and for the because if we get this right, it's all for the folks that we represent, for our communities, to be happy and with what we do and what they see happens in their city that they love. So I want to move forward with our next item, which is to be on your agenda, which is the update on the work group, on the RIPA, regarding the RIPA.
Before we move on to the next
Yes.
item, I do need to toggle our interpreters, and then I can introduce the item. So one moment.
Okay.
Okay, are we ready to proceed?
Yeah, if you guys are good.
Right, the next item on the agenda is an important update from our RIPA working group. The working group was formed to focus on the RIPA recommendations brought forth during the May 21st PAC meeting. The work group includes members Davidi, Kamina, and Chair Tokalahi. The RIPA working group has reviewed and analyzed traffic stop data collected and analyzed under the Racial and Identity Profiling Act, or RIPA, discussed strategies to address concerns about racial profiling that were expressed during those meetings. They also reviewed the 2025 San Rafael Police Department statistics on traffic stops, discussed strategies for communicating data about policing in San Rafael in a clear and accessible way. Tonight, members of the working group will present their updates verbally, serving as a platform for open dialogue. After these updates, we will set aside time for questions and discussions. Although no formal action is required at this time, the committee may choose to make recommendations based on the information shared this evening. I now invite the members of the RIPA working group to deliver their updates.
Thank you. I just want to make sure that I guess it's a questions for the staff. You said to report back now. Are we doing the report back now, or I'm gonna go back to the questions first?
No, you're going to give your presentation.
Okay. We good? Bear with us, because this is gonna be the one that, yeah, we all know. So, before I read out what we decided with this work group, I wanted to make sure that after the meeting that we have those 4 recommendations from MV3, sorry, there were 4 recommendations on the table to put forward to the city council. We, including I, wanted to have this, to take a deeper dive into it, because I felt like, we were running to pull a train. That's how I felt. Meaning like there were recommendations, and without sitting down and reading it, we just grab it and jump on the train. Like we were rushing. That's how I felt. So I wanted also to bring this, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted the work group to discuss this deeper, because I feel like before we submit this or anything else to the city council, I want to make sure that this committee has a voice, and also have, like we feel like we own this. I wanted to say, like, I wanted to feel like we own this before we just hand it over, So, and that's how it becomes this working group. Okay, I'm gonna get into it. So the RIPA work group, to date now, the RIPA work group has met 3 times. So we have, our first one was on July 18. That's the first time we met, July 18th. And then we also met on August the 4th and the 9th of this month. So that's the third time, the third different dates that we met. And we has focused our efforts on researching best practices, as you know, the staff mentioned, reviewing some of the data, and discussing strategies to address this racial and identity profiling concerns with San Rafael PD. This is the summary of actions. The RIPA work group conducted a comprehensive process to examine potential policy changes and their implications thoroughly. These include, number one, meetings and collaborative discussions. So the working group convened on July 28th and September 4th to review the current practices, set priorities, and define next steps. Also included the last date, which is the 9th. October 9th, Number two, the agency collaboration conducted a focus meeting and information exchange with the Mill Valley Police Chief, Chief Navarro, to gain insight into the neighboring agencies' approaches. We also review and analyze the data, examine San Rafael BD traffic stop and DUI data for 2025. We also review the 2024 RIPA report to identify patterns, trends, and potential areas of disparity. We were also deep diving into comparative research, reviewing the Pennsylvania statewide report on traffic stop data, just to better understand benchmarking practices in the application of consensus data to demographic comparisons. And the last one we did, investigative inquiries, which to develop and post a series of probative questions to uncover operational, legal, and community impacts of potential policy changes. So some of these questions focus on officers' discretion, racial disparities, public disparities, perception, and safety concentrations. Now, I think we're all aware, and the public also aware of the 4 recommendations from that meeting in the presentation. And I'm just going to read out the 4 recommendations before we have a report back on it. So the number 1 is, the bias by proxy policy. Number 2 is to eliminate the pretext stops. Number 3 is the performance metrics, which relate to that, and also the annual equity assessment. Those were the 4. The number 4 is the annual equity assessment. Yeah. Those were the 4 recommendations. So for the recommendations after the working group, I'm going to ask Paula. So each one of us will report back on these recommendations. So the first one I'm going to ask Paula to report back on regarding the bias by proxy.
Thank you so much, Chair Tokolai. I want to second your comment that it was the group that asked for the working group, not the staff, and for the very reasons that you said.
Excuse me, the group?
Some of the people on the committee. I'm serious. Okay.
Let's just continue, please.
Yeah, that's true. And so the first recommendation was that the department improve their bias by proxy policy, and that has been done. And I believe there's a copy in the work group, so we're pleased that that has been done. Thank you.
Thank you, Paula. Okay, regarding the recommendations number 2, to eliminate pretext stops. This was a 1-year pilot program. The recommendations was a 1-year pilot program to eliminate pretext stops. The committee, or this work group initially proposed, the committee initially proposed a recommendation to implement this pilot program to eliminate pretext stops for a 1 year. So the work group reviewed the following data with respect to the pretext stops. As I mentioned before, we reviewed the 2024 RIPA report, the LABD policy data in the 2024 RIPA report, the San Rafael BD traffic enforcement data, San Rafael BD DUI data, and also the Mill Valley BD policies. So those are some of the reports data that we look into it throughout our 3 meetings. And I wanted to tell you that it wasn't easy. A lot of discussions, a lot of research, and I also wanted to thank the staff for some of the guidance around it, also providing a lot of the materials regarding the discussions around this recommendations number 2. So, the work group discovered the following. Number 1, the LABD implemented a similar policy in 2021 to this pretext stops. Number 2, in reviewing the 2024 RIBA outlining LABD results, please bear with me, there's a lot. The 2024 RIBA report includes data from the LABD, which implemented a similar policy also in 2022. This data can be found on pages 52 and 59. I hope you guys can see that. Oh, it's on the report. It includes the total stops decreased by approximately 60%. There was a slight increase in discovery rates and a slight decrease also in racial disparities for individuals perceived to be Black. However, there was a slight increase in disparities for individuals perceived to be Hispanic, and no significant changes for other racial and ethnic categories. There's also that graph on the report, so I'm sure you guys are looking into it now, that shows some of those. We also find some of the findings that demonstrate that reducing the number of stops does not necessarily eliminate racial disparities while raising serious public safety concerns. I think that was also among one of the top priority for us as a work group. We were looking into the safety side, whether it's pretext stops or anything that we do with this committee regarding our communities here in San Rafael. There was also a lot of questions, as you may have too. We also learned that the San Rafael, the proactive traffic enforcement is a key tool in addressing the DUI enforcement, firearms recovery, drug-related crimes, thefts, and other serious criminal activity. If stops were to reduce by 60% in San Rafael, as it was in LA, in relations to the report, what would that look like for the community with respect to safety? The SRBD 2025 DUI enforcement data, which is from January to July 2025, it was a total of 111 DUI arrests. 26 of those arrests originated from stops based solely on mechanical or administrative violations. The type of stops that will be restricted under a no pretext policy is recommended by MV3. The map on those reports of DUI accidents 2024-2025 is also on that report. The 2025 DUI arrestee demographic and location data also on that report. And also other significant 2025 arrest data from January to July 2025 of this year, initiated by a mechanical or administrative violation. That figure is also on that report. As I mentioned before, we also reach out to Chief Navarro in Mill Valley, and we had a meeting with him too. And he confirmed that it has not implemented a policy eliminating pretext stops as defined by MV3. Now, taking everything into account with all the, I'm not gonna say like the amount of time that we put in, 3 meetings, I would say like, oh, yeah, that's not a lot. But we did put in a lot of discussions and time just within those time frame, looking into this recommendation number 2. So the work group, given the demonstrated safety implications and limited impact on disparities, our group recommends that this therefore be withdrawn, the recommendation number 2. Now I'm gonna go back to Paula for the recommendation number 3.
Chair, would you just repeat that last sentence again? I want to be sure I heard it clearly. Based on the, did you say based on? I'm sorry. If you would repeat that, your summary statement again, and that your summary statement was based upon X, and then your recommendation, please.
Based upon all the stuff that I just explained.
You said safety.
Yeah. I think given the demonstrated, it's a lot of these during, with regards to safety and limited impact on disparities,
Sure.
we decided to.
If it pleases, if I may, I definitely want to acknowledge that there will be a time for questions, but I want to give the respect to the committee members to finish their presentation, and then please have all the questions you want.
Yes, thank you. I know there's questions and comments, but hey, we a committee, we wanted to make sure that we work together on this. No, just for the recommendation number 2, our work group recommends that this therefore be withdrawn. And that's our recommendations on number 2. Now I'm going to come back to Paula for recommendation number 3, which is the performance metric or money. Yeah.
Right, so recommendation number 3 was to use a performance metric to monitor progress, and since the work group is recommending that program not be set up, that it doesn't make sense to proceed with number 3. And I think, well, that's all, thank you.
Thank you, Paula. So the last one, I'm going to ask the Vice Chair Davidi to address the recommendations number 4.
Yeah, my recommendation for number 4 is that we should propose a new approach to establish an equity assessment. I'm going to use dashboard. Establish a work group dedicated to develop a RIPO equity dashboard. The dashboard will present clear, accessible, and visual data on traffic stops, demographics, arrests, use of force, complaints, and related metrics to enhance transparency and community understanding. The work group should consist of no more than 2 members and will be responsible. So this will be 2 members from the member up here. Collaborating with San Rafael Police Department staff to recommend the structure and content of the dashboard, identifying key data sources and reporting priorities, ensure the dashboard is clear and accessible to the community. And the final one is the chair will solicit volunteers for this network group during the PAC meeting when the work group update is provided. So Chair Fatai Tukalahi, will solicit these volunteers for the new work group during the PAC meeting when the work group update is provided.
Okay, thank you. So those,
Chair,
yes.
I know it was your presentation, but I was there at some of the meetings. In regards to number 3, you had an alternate recommendation, I thought. Instead of just withdrawing number 3, you wanted to recommend something in exchange.
My bad. The group also, suggested reconsidering an amended recommendation that's focused on an expanded bias-based policy, training, and cultural awareness for the initiatives for the San Rafael Police Department. That's true. That was very important.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to questions from committee members. So anyone in the committee members, any member with questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I do have my microphone on. Thank you for reminding me. I want to say that I regret that I did not download the report because I needed to really, as you're giving the information, I needed to be actually reading some of the comments and the whys of the recommendations, and so I didn't really grasp that. Also, I'm one for not reinventing the wheel. When the presentation that as I understood it, had indicated that these recommendations weren't just taken out of the sky, but that they had actually been researched and that there was research to support it. What I heard was that locally, that means within our county, especially for the pilot program, that the agency within our county that you were speaking of did not go forward with a pilot program. Of the 4 recommendations, the pilot program is the one to which I most support because it would give us an opportunity to work with Chief Spiller in developing exactly what the parameters and so forth would be in going forward with that. I feel San Rafael can be an innovator in doing things a little bit outside of the box. And I was, as a researcher, I felt doing a pilot study was one way for us to show, to be able to forecast, to present, the positives about the San Rafael Police Department. I felt a pilot study would actually bring out, would demonstrate more in a concrete way what we are doing correctly based on the vision that the department head has actually put forth for going forward with the policies of our San Rafael Police Department and the things that I learned while doing the drive-along. Things were shared with me. I forgot the name of the officer that I was riding with, but he was able to articulate the philosophy going forward and how it seemed to be a very wholesome way of trying to bridge that trust piece that I want to work on, that trust piece between the policing and the community and how the community perceives how the interactions that they have with policing, with any officer, is positive. That every time you see a police officer, that doesn't mean you have to turn and run in the other direction because your brother had a problem or your sister had a problem or your father had a problem in the past. So I hear of your recommendation, but that particular one, I am not in favor of your not going forward with it.
Okay. Any, do you have questions from? Alan?
Yes, some questions. I'm trying to get into y'all's headspace. I'm really curious on what the intent of the work group's request for mechanical violations and why not a focus on moving violations. All of this data that was presented for us to review is very moving violation focused, and I'm not getting a full picture.
Yes.
So in looking at the and I'm sorry not to be looking at you too, but in looking at the recommendations of the committee, the idea of pretext stops were ministerial things, not so much active moving violations. And we looked, the reason why drunk driving and those things came up was because it's connected to safety. So we just asked, is there any kind of connection with that? And what the information we got is what you have. It just was how, and I have, I think I've mentioned before, I have a personal interest in this. My father was killed in an accident, an auto accident, and there was a safety issue involved. And if an officer had stopped for a ministerial stop, then who knows what would have happened. So my whole focus is safety for the community. And when we looked at the information that was provided, especially in the studies that were done before by other agencies, it turned out that there were less stops that ended up being for serious things, like drunk driving or driving under the influence. And when you look at the results for equity in the community, there really wasn't, and there was a little bit of a decrease for Black people, but there was an increase for Hispanic people. So when we looked at the whole picture, and also found out that Mill Valley, I was under the impression that we were told that Mill Valley did involved in this program, and the chief was very clear that for safety reasons, that they would not and did not do that. So it just seemed so that's how we got to the accident part.
Does it help the questions?
I sort of see your intent.
My intent was not to, as for I can't speak to the other members, for my participation was that the recommendation had been made. I realized that I'm the only person that voted against it, but that was not my intent, had nothing to do with trying to change that, but to do I love your word, deep dive, on what would this mean and how would it look and what would happen. And as a result, after all the discussion, this is what the group came up with.
Sure.
And I have one more, and I know that there's been comments about the Brown. I would have loved nothing more than if we could all have sat and done that. Yeah, or called or whatever, but we couldn't.
Agree.
Sorry, I'm going to keep going with Member Elm here, because I know he's not done with his questions yet.
It's not a question, actually. It's probably a comment from the data. To me, that data was not a full picture of. I personally cannot make a decision with what was presented to me. I wanted to see more data on the opposite, for example, in reverse of the administrative and mechanical violations. Where is the data on moving violations? How does I'm not able to really square together what the inference is with the significance of mechanical violations versus drunk driving, and how how we are improving safety. It's buried in the data a little bit if you do the math that there is more moving violation related arrests, but I'm not seeing that in what was presented, so I don't feel like I have a full picture.
Can I answer a question? Sure. You know, I wasn't here on the special day when Mill Valley Freed made this recommendation, so I went to this working group in a very neutral mindset, and you raise a great point. So the DUIs that are listed, because DUIs are arguably the most dangerous and most common in San Rafael, so we want to highlight that if we had removed DUI drivers as a result of mechanical violations, for example, if we stop enforcing mechanical violation, then in turn, we would not be getting these dangerous DUI drivers off the street. And we would inadvertently open San Rafael up to more danger. So there was this correlation causation that was like, that was really important. And then another thing that I was kind of like, because what you mentioned kind of triggered me too, because if wanted to make sure that we really explore all these options, making sure that we're providing safety for our neighborhood. The DUI accident map, just as in any crime trend, shows that where we should be directing enforcement, there are far more accidents in the Canal neighborhood, downtown, than any other parts of the city. So we do more enforcements there, and thus the disparity in race. I mean, I know the city puts out like DUI checkpoints on social media, so we do, do a good job informing the public. I speak from my neighborhood. They all want more policing because DUI is really big. I know Marin County ranks as one of the highest consumption of alcohol per capita. So DUI it's a big trigger point. So the other thing is, I have a business in the Canal. People around me, they're very conscious about this notion about people drinking, driving. I know we heard from Voices of Canal wanting more policing because they see people drinking in the neighborhood and kids are walking and doing all that. So this was really important that we really consciously looked into it, making sure we cross every T, I, whatever that term is, so we can present something that's valid. So that's what that recommendation was for.
Sure. What was interesting when the limited amount of data that Beat 3, which is the Canal, has a significant amount of DUI arrests. I really wanted to know what was moving versus mechanical violation. There's a lot of RIPA data buried in there within our community that wasn't quite visible there, and I really wanted to have insight on that. I appreciate the work group's effort and everything. I don't know that I support your outcome.
Okay. Do we have any other questions before we go into public comments? No?
Sorry, no more questions.
Okay. All right. We don't have any other questions from committee members. Now I'm going to invite public comments. I'm going to open for public comments.
Fortunate I only get 2 minutes, given that it's my recommendation that you're rejecting.
So,
I think what we have just said, my name's Tammy Edmondson with MV Free. I think what we've just seen is a perfect example of what is wrong when you have secret exclusive meetings and invite San Rafael Police to present data, and it's one-sided data. The data you received on the DUIs is inaccurate. You had experts before you, and not just me, but the data analyst from the San Rafael Police, and instead you're relying on anecdotal, inaccurate information. The full pack voted following 2 extensive evidentiary hearings with expert witnesses based on RIPA recommendations, based on the real facts. Now, you've got this, after the final vote, a limited number, I gather it was Chair Takai and Member Kamina, who got together with a police officer and said, hey, let's have another working group and take another go at these recommendations that were already nearly unanimously adopted by this PAC. That is improper. If you want to tell me that this is not in the pocket of the San Rafael Police Department, I am not going to buy it. The materials, as I said, reflect a one-sided SRPD advocacy campaign full of inaccurate, misleading, and irrelevant information designed to falsely inflate the importance of pretext stops. They say 26 stops that were 26 of the DUIs were pretext stops. Their own data on its face shows that to be false. So I'm on fire here because I don't have the opportunity to tell you from an expert perspective how wrong this analysis is. That is unfair to the rest of the PAC.
Thank you.
I can't do justice to what I feel I've seen tonight. I had come here tonight to talk about the fact that Officer Komodo and Lieutenant Eberly and even the entire PAC have been put into an impossible conflict of interest situation. You have data that is being completely controlled by the SRPD. You have a 3-member majority group of the PAC looking at only that data, the other members not. The data is only being given to you by the SRPD, with the exception of your interview with Chief Navarro. You also have one of the members of the PAC who is a former district attorney. You have that same member being suddenly, and rather than being 25% or 20% of the PAC, rather she becomes 33 1/3% of the working group, along with the input from the SRPD. That's you cannot function as an independent PAC protecting your constituents when you have that kind of control over the data you're getting. After 2 major meetings and analysis and expert witnesses, you made a decision. And it was a good decision. It was an analyzed decision. It was not a decision behind closed doors with the San Rafael Police Department, whereas this is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again. I think just feeling a little bit sick right now. Agree 100% with what Tammy and Ed just said. I want to remind us that this meeting, when the recommendations were approved by this PAC to move forward, was when our youth member, who's not here tonight, Marilyn, found her voice, and she was the one who said, I would like to do a pilot. Paula, and self-admittedly, just said tonight also, she was the only person who opposed that as the only former law enforcement member of your committee. There was no transparency in that working group. That was a big bird to the rest of the committee and to the community, because you all said, yes, we support these recommendations. Outside of this meeting, a work group of 3, one of who opposed, was made without any other committee members being invited or knowing about it. That is shady. That's not transparency. That's not accountability. Like Tammy said, you had experts here. I think you had the Marin County Sheriff's Office RIPA person, you had San Rafael PD for the first presentation, and then you had MV Free, who are experts in RIPA data. And then a small group that is not an expert. I could not follow any of that presentation. Chair, none of it. It made no sense what you were saying, and your recommendations don't make sense either. So I encourage all of you tonight to say no to this shady behind the doors deal that was made about pretext stops. 26 people, mechanical violations. We have an oppressive history in our country of racism and systematic oppression. Who do you think has mechanical violations? Poor people. And who do you think's
Thank
poor
you.
in our country?
Hello, again, Steve Bingham, Tara Linda. So now you're in a conundrum. What to do? And I propose, in all honesty, that you put this over, you don't vote on this recommendation tonight, and you revisit this at the earliest possible moment. I second the comments that were made by others, and this process is very disturbing. I do want to make one clarification because one of you was confused why there isn't more on moving violation. The whole thing about pretext stops, by definition, they're stops of vehicle by armed police officers for defects in the vehicle that are visible on the outside. Obviously, if someone has no lights at all, they can be stopped. But pretext stops are defects. Like even people get stopped for having something hanging off of their front view mirror. They get stopped because they have inadequate registration. San Francisco listed 9 specific things that they no longer allow their police to do, pretext. Find out what the results of that are. You really need to do more research. This is hugely important. And as for the emphasis on DUI, I might suggest, because it's rare that there are DUI checkpoints, which have to be announced and all that. It is a problem in Marin, particularly on Friday and Saturday night. My wife and I drove behind somebody coming home who was all over the world. Do more DUI check stops.
Thank you,
That's
Steve.
legal and that's effective and it gets to the point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I want to second what everybody else has said. I'm super disappointed. When MVP did their presentation, it was thorough, it was extensive. They are experts on the data they presented. It seems like you guys have your hands in the San Rafael Police Department's pockets. It makes no sense. And I am white. I know a lot of white, affluent people in this community, and I know a lot of white people that drive drunk, but they don't get pulled over because they're driving fancy, more expensive Teslas, Mercedes, BMWs, whatever, you have it. And if you on this piece of paper right here, these aren't window tints. That's not putting somebody's life in danger. A tail light, no exhaust, turning violation, that's not putting other people's lives in jeopardy. That's targeting people that can't afford the newer, fancier cars. So I just really would wish y'all would really think about what it is that you're going to be voting on tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tonight, you should not vote for this. wait till you have a full board to discuss this again. As she just said, regarding white folks driving drunk. And as you both know, Lieutenant and Chief, you have white folks driving around this community in fancy cars with no front license plate, pretext stops. Are you pulling all of them over? Are you pulling all the cars over with the Teslas, the Jeeps, the BMWs, the Benzes, all these fancy cars with fancy front ends with no plate? You're not pulling them over. Don't vote for it. Don't vote for it. And you've heard many in the community tonight say the nuances of this. And I will say this again. When you have a chair that has contracts with the county and the city, and these contracts are at times combined, city and county, and you sit here and you meet and do this is the result. I've seen it happen time and time again. Not surprising to me. I urge you all, next time you have a chair, vote in someone who's not tied to the city and the county. This is what happened with contracts, nonprofit work, all that good stuff. This is where we get at. This is where we come to. So, not surprising. It's kind of pathetic, but it's politics. It's politics 101. Again, white folk are driving around. They also have these fancy bike racks that cover their license plate, Chief and Lieutenant. These white folks driving around these $5,000 bike racks, $10,000 bikes, and $100,000 cars. Are you going to pull them over?
Thank you.
Hell no, you're not going to pull them over.
Thank you. Hang on. Is there any other comments from the public?
Hello, my name is Justin. I represent my family and many families on my street and many families in the dad's group at my daughter's elementary school. We have zero interest in the police department's ability to initiate traffic stops for rightful reasons being taken away or restricted. All of these mechanical infractions, this is the way it has to be. Your vehicle must be in a certain condition to drive, and you need to comply with that regardless of your means. It doesn't give you authorization not to do it. Never know what those instances roll into as far as initiating an accident, and all those things could be prevented. So we had no interest in the police's ability being restricted to initiate traffic stops for mechanical causes or under their pretext. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? I see none. I'm going to close public comments. Okay, I'm going to come back to I'm going to refer to the staff to see if anybody reflections on those. No? We good. I'm going to come back to the committee members for comments. Anybody in the committee members have comments?
I have a comment.
Yeah.
I just want to clarify the data we gather, it's collective, comes from websites, comes from other research, partly comes from the police department. This is an important matter, taken seriously. One of the things that we also discovered, I think it was mentioned here, I just want to highlight it. I wanted to meet with the police chief Navarro from Mill Valley because it was mentioned that they have started, using eliminating
I never said they had that program. I said that they had the fly proxy.
Wait.
Yeah, just.
All right, but when we met with him, per Chief Navarro, he confirmed that it has not implemented the policy eliminating pretext stop. So I just wanted to highlight that too. So,
Why did you highlight that point?
Because
Hang on. I'm gonna refrain from public comments now because that turn is over. I'm going to stick with because this is comments from committee members. Sorry.
Okay, I will conclude, because I thought that was an important thing to mention, because I was led to believe that they stopped the pretext stop, but they hadn't, so, thank you. I'll end with that.
Any other comments? Thank you. Any other comments from committee members? Member Locks?
I think I need clarification from the committee members. But what I was hearing is that from the subcommittee members, what I was hearing is that I wasn't clear if you use some of the MV-free data resources and went beyond to do other research. But what I'm hearing is that it's not clear if you got the right information. Certainly there seems from the community or from one of the experts that's sitting in the community has indicated that the committee misrepresented what was presented. That was what I just heard. And so if you are doing your research and you're doing it on a faulty base, then you're going to come out with what are considered in research invalid results. And so it's called internal and external validity threats. Therefore, that would say that your recommendation per your report as we heard it didn't have and was not robust enough, that's another research language, was not I'm losing, I can't speak now, was not robust enough to come to the conclusions or the recommendations that you have. I would like to see, actually, I would like to make a motion that we consider tabling this and do a little more in-depth research and come back with a report for next month. Based on the, research based on the feedback that we got.
So Ms. Locks has made a motion. Is there a second?
I will second Ms. Locke's motion.
I could take the roll.
So hang on. So there's a motion to table the...
Well, if you're giving the report,
Yeah.
you're asking us to accept the report.
No, that's not.
No.
The recommendation was not to do the pilot study. Those are recommendations that you're putting forth. You're asking us to accept those recommendations.
Ms. Locks, if I may,
Yeah.
just to repeat what I said at the introduction, there is no formal action necessary this evening. The working group was reporting out on what they came up with. There's no formal action necessary. The recommendations that were made by the committee in May will still stand regardless of whatever happens this evening. Those will all be captured and memorialized in the annual report, which will go to City Council.
I'd also like to make a clarification. This is tricky. So I think the committee has options tonight. Teresa's absolutely correct that there's no required action of the committee tonight, but the committee does have options. You could call for a vote based on the working group report to the group. You could do as Ms. Locks is suggesting, and you could defer the item to a future meeting and direct staff to bring back more information. Those are two options. There's probably others if you'd like staff to give you other options, but just to kind of clarify procedurally what the committee's options are this evening. Does that help?
May I continue? That does help in that it's a report of where they are presently, maybe not finally, because if this is the report, if these are the recommendations, I haven't heard what you said, but if these are the recommendations, on some level, they nullify the recommendations that we voted on to go forward to the city council. On some level, if we're saying no to a pilot study, but we said yes to a pilot study, you see what I'm saying?
I do, so let me see if
Okay.
I can take another shot at clarifying.
Okay.
Unless the committee takes another vote, the original recommendation that was adopted still stands. That on the record, the vote was the vote from that prior meeting. This working group's report to you is information for this committee to consider what you'd like to do with that. You can do nothing, and the recommendation would stand on the record, as it previously would.
It's,
Pardon me, I'm sorry, we're
Hang
not
on.
in public comment right
Yeah.
now. Respectfully, please.
Member Locke, is that?
I'm still confused about the legalities of those statements that you said. I mean, I hear you. I you know, Christine, I hear you. But legally, I'm conflicted because if we say we accept your recommendations, or we just receive the report and do nothing, we receive the
Correct.
report and
The staff report is informational only. Because it's not you don't have a quorum vote. You have 3 members of the committee. That's not a majority. So they're sharing their experiences of finding, doing more research and getting more information that they came back to share with the committee to say, this is what we found. This is our perspective on this. So this item doesn't change anything about the vote that was taken at the prior meeting.
Yeah, and I think we want to make that clear.
Okay.
Clear as the sky, right? The original recommendation stands. The work group, not a subcommittee, the working group, this is our own findings because we wanted to dive in deeper to those 4 recommendations. And there was nothing wrong about looking at it because there was a lot. The data's, that's not all the data, this is a lot, you know? So we wanted to, and the report was the results of our work group findings. That doesn't change. Like she was saying, we don't have to do anything because the original recommendation still stands. We were just reporting on what we find. Because there are, like we call in people, we talk to them, you know. I'm like, there's also some questions from us, you know, with the data provided. Like, if that data doesn't work in some other places, why they're pushing it here in our city? You know, like those are some of the questions that we wanted to find out. Like, we don't want to just pass on this. We can still dig into it and find out more and bring it back to the committee. But that doesn't change the original recommendations.
And Chair, that's
Chair.
what, if I could, what I heard from Member Locks was a request to have more data, to be better informed. I think there are a few members on this dais who don't feel like the information presented was a complete picture. And that's what I was seconding, was for us to continue with the data. I have submitted to staff prior to this meeting a significant amount of questions with respect to the data presented, and I would like those answered before I could make an informed decision.
Sorry, I just wanted to make a clarification that may be helpful also. The staff, the recommendation on the report that you have in your packet says receive updates from the Racial and Identity Profiling Act working group on their recent activities, progress, and next steps. So when we go to for example, when we go to the city council and we provide an informational report we just provided informational report on the wildfire action plan. There's nothing for the council to vote on. There's nothing for them to do. They're just getting educated from staff. In this case, you're getting some information from your colleagues on the dais about the work they've done. As simple as that.
Right. You good?
Mr. Chair, there is a motion on the floor that has been seconded.
I know, I understand. But we haven't heard from some of the other members too, because we were still in our member comments, and some of the other members, you know, they still haven't said anything. In case, if you want to say any other comments, if not, we can move on to that motion.
No, any comments?
You good?
Too much.
We good?
So there's a motion to carry this over again.
Table this.
To table it. Member Alm?
Actually,
How
can
do
you
you vote?
clarify what that, what?
She wants to, she said to table it.
I heard more information versus tabling.
Well, she said table it and get more information.
Let me go back to her. Let me go back to Salma. Let her finish her motion.
I would like to clarify the motion. My motion is that the committee, the working that the working group, this is difficult, folks, that the working group continue with their data collection and present an update to this body next month. An updated report to this body next month.
We all hear that. You guys got it?
Yeah, if I may, I know this is really hard, and I want to try to be helpful with what you're intending. So what I hear is you want more information about this topic brought back to you. So one way is to have the working group go back and do that. Another way is you ask staff for more information. And we could put it on a future agenda at a future PAC meeting.
Madam City Manager and Chair, I withdraw my motion.
So if Member Locke's withdrawn her motion, then we are going to move forward.
So if she withdraws her motion, you can continue your discussion or end your discussion.
Right.
Or if anybody else has any more comments, they can do that, and we will move to the next item in the agenda.
Yeah.
What was said at the meeting in May will be captured in and I just want to reiterate, what was captured, the vote, will be in the City Council report, annual report, and what was captured today by the members who presented will be captured in the City Council annual report.
Right. Right.
So the next.
Okay. So I think, because we don't have any other comments, I'm sorry. Like there's no more public comments. It can wait for next meeting.
We
I'm
can
sorry.
talk after the meeting. Sir, we cannot,
So
we are not allowed to
we're gonna
entertain
move
more
forward.
questions or comments at this time.
I'm sorry. We're gonna continue on with the next agenda item. So the
Chair
next,
Fatai.
hang on. We passed the public comment, and I respect the questions, I respect the opinions, but we all have, you have the time for that, and you didn't. So you can send us the email, or
Chair
bring it
Fatai.
to the next
Sorry,
meeting.
if I may, I think it's really important we get clear like where we are and what are we doing next, and I'd like to help procedurally. I think
Right. No.
Member
I'm
Locke's-
I'm getting into that because
I hear Member Locks might have another question, and I also want to just, while I have a moment to clarify, you could end this item. The other option is any other committee member could make another motion, right? You could continue the discussion, or you could move on to the next item on the agenda.
I was moving on to the next agenda on the item on the
Okay,
agenda.
I do think Member Lux has a
Yeah.
question.
Part of my comment was that I regretted that I had not downloaded the report. And the link was available to everyone, but I didn't download it, so I don't know. It is available. I would just wanted to say that. I did say that.
Thank
Okay.
you.
And one last thing. I'm asking, when we would like updated reports from other subcommittees, where would that be? Or would that be something?
I can answer that, Ms. Lux. That is going to be in the committee report, which I think Member Alm, who's also on a working group committee, will be reporting out today.
Thank you.
Cool. Thank you. All right, we're gonna continue on with staff liaison report.
Through the chair, I need to toggle the interpreters momentarily.
Okay.
We'll take a 7-minute stretch.
Chair, we can proceed.
Oh, we have to wait for Paula.
She'll be right back. We're gonna continue on with staff liaison report.
Do we have to wait for her to do
No. We'll continue on. Do we have any reports from the staff?
We do have a couple brief ones, yes. City Manager Lilovich will give the first one. Are we waiting, though, for Ms. Kamina, or?
No, we're gonna continue.
Okay.
Yeah.
You talk first.
Yep, I take that back. I will go first. Reporting out on third quarter complaints. San Rafael Police Department is now at 15, one in progress to make the total of the 15. They were all informal, or they were all, all either exonerated or not sustained or unfounded. That is my report for complaints. And do you want me to repeat something?
Thank you. Hang on, are we finished with all the staff reports?
At the end, she gets it.
I'll give you time to ask questions after the, I want to make sure that they all have their
You have a
reports.
question about complaints? Go ahead.
Okay.
You said that the complaints were non-sustained. What were the categories of the complaints, if I may?
Procedural and conduct.
Thank you.
Yes.
And for future reports, would you give that, give like that for future reports?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just a few reminders. Our November meeting will include approving our 2026 calendar, which will also include our special workshop, which is our work plan planning session, which will be in January, so that will be an item on the agenda next month. Additionally, we will be selecting a new chair and vice chair for 2026. That will be another item on the November agenda, so please keep that in mind. Lastly, the first draft of the 2025 annual report will be presented at the November meeting, barring the item that we will be discussing, which is transparency, in November. So please take time to review that in advance and prepare any questions or comments that you have. If you can present that to staff ahead of the meeting, it's always greatly appreciated, but we will also have that agendized for discussion as well.
Thank you. Do we have any other reports?
Question on that one?
Yeah.
I have a question about the agenda for November. In the recommendations that we've been referring to previously, are we going to have the representative from NACOL speak?
We do have a that Francine is scheduled to come.
Is
She is a
that's what I'm
NACOL member.
asking.
Yeah.
That was my question.
Correct.
Is she,
Yes.
is that going to be, okay,
For next month?
for next month?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Any other reports?
Yes, and Member Locks, you just stole my thunder a little bit. I'm teasing. So, good evening. I want to begin by acknowledging that some concerns have been raised by some community members about the police department's role in staffing the PAC committee. I understand why some would worry that this could influence how information is presented or how discussions are framed. Those are valid questions, and I appreciate people raising them. It's important that we continue to have open, respectful conversations and how to best support this committee's purpose, which is to strengthen accountability, transparency, and trust between the community, the police department, and the city. While the committee currently has Lieutenant Eberly serving as one of the staff liaisons, I want to clarify for the committee that Assistant City Manager also serves in this role as a co-staff liaison. This dual staffing structure was intentional. It is intended to ensure that both the police department and the city manager's office are engaged, offering complementary perspectives and providing a broader citywide perspective while having the technical expertise and operational insights from our law enforcement professionals. This dual staffing also provides for the broader citywide perspective that helps ensure that the committee's agenda items, the discussions that you have here, and recommendations are communicated to the City Council. That doesn't only happen in the annual report. We are having ongoing discussions with the council members about the progress of this committee as well as other boards, committees, and commissions. The goal is to maintain transparency, balance, and a clear connection between the committee's work, the police department, city leadership, and the City Council. I also want to share that it has already been planned that the staff liaisons would rotate in their roles as lead in staffing and supporting the committee in these meetings. Beginning next year, and I'm sitting in for Assistant City Manager Angela Robinson-Pinion tonight because she's out of town. Beginning next year, she will be taking the lead in the staff liaison role. She'll be the primary author of the staff reports and will support the committee chair in the facilitation of the meetings as Lieutenant Eberly has been. This transition is designed to strengthen the committee's independence while still ensuring strong collaboration with the police department and continued access to technical and operational expertise when needed. I want to also emphasize that the city welcomes direction from the PAC regarding which presenters come before the committee anytime. Ultimately, the city's goal is to support this committee as a space for open, honest dialogue, shared learning, and meaningful recommendations. We want the structure to foster confidence that the committee is hearing all perspectives, not just from the police department, but from across the city organization, from third parties, and perhaps most importantly, the community. Our shared goal is the same: a transparent, accountable, and trusted public safety system that reflects our community's values. I also wanted to let you know that Francine Tourneur, a consultant that the city has been working with for a number of years to develop and support the work of the PAC, will be presenting on transparency at the November 19th PAC meeting. For those of you who don't know Francine, she has over 26 years of experience in public safety oversight and community engagement. She currently serves as the Police Oversight Director for the City of Long Beach. Prior to that appointment, she served as the Inspector General for Sacramento County, leading investigations, audits, policy recommendations to strengthen accountability for that Sheriff's Department. I also just wanted to make a brief comment that there was public comment earlier about a question about the policy or the opportunity to make public comment on a couple of the agenda items, including staff liaison report and the committee reports, and the city is supportive of adding public comment on these items going forward. That's all I have.
Thank you. Committee reports. So I'm going to come back to any members of the committee and reports.
Report on liaison reports and why.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, what? What you just said? Going forward. This is you doing what you do.
Going for it.
Safeguarding.
After this
You
meeting.
said we're going forward. Excuse me.
After this meeting, the next one.
No, one of you guys discuss it.
Point of clarification. Madam City Manager, were you stating that after this report, there can be comments to or questions to your reports?
Not tonight, it's
Not
not on the
tonight.
agenda.
It's-
So
yeah.
procedurally, if it's not on the printed, posted agenda, we cannot take public comment on those items this evening. What I was saying is that in response to the request, going forward at the next PAC meeting, we would be sure to make sure that that is on the agenda and the opportunity is there going forward, starting at the next meeting.
Question,
it's-
what's not printed though? What was not printed?
Is it
Because
not,
it's not in the agenda yet.
excuse me, is it not common practice that when somebody gives a report, that there can be comments to the report? And you're saying not unless it's written that they can comment? Is that what I'm hearing?
So we haven't done it in the 2 years that we have had
Well, that
staff
doesn't
and,
mean-
and committee reports. And this gentleman is the first time bringing it up. We've discussed it. We thought it was a good idea. But since it's not agendized, I would recommend that you save your comments for tonight in an open comment at the next meeting. Please share your thoughts and opinions of any staff report or committee tonight. So I still want to afford you the opportunity to do so. And we will also have added public comment at the staff and committee meetings at the end of November's meeting.
Yeah, to the agenda.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I'll walk away. I don't know how it got to that point though.
Thank you.
And my last point, don't let him derail that for the next meeting.
Thank you.
I'm on it.
All right,
Committee report.
committee reports, yes.
Okay, I think this is our first meeting since the NACOL Regional Conference. There was a lot of learning there, and I know that the chair was there, and also Teresa Olson, I forget your new name, she was also present. There was a lot of learning, and much of that learning, I feel there needs to be a way for me to be able to share that learning with other members of our committee. I feel that it's important for staff to remember that opportunities do come up and to actually report on them in their staff report prior to, because not everybody gets the same information flow. And if there's certain things, certain conferences or speeches or whatever they're about to be presented locally, and by that I mean within the Bay Area, that may be of benefit to the growth and development of this committee, I would like to encourage staff to be sure to include those things in their report. So I am still seeking an opportunity to be able to share some of that information that I learned at NACOL's conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Locks.
Nothing to report.
No reports. No, Paula?
Well, one of the most delightful things I've done since the last meeting was I had coffee with Mr. Morgan. He's actually much more pleasant than he appeared tonight. And I didn't know you had a concern about our chair, but we will delve into his conflict of interest. I do want to say that this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and so actually, Chair Fatai we were at a Center for Domestic Peace presentation, which actually Lieutenant Eberly spoke along with several other people from the District Attorney's Office and survivors. It's Latino Heritage Month, so happy Latino Heritage. It's Italian Heritage Month. It's Jewish holidays. I'm not sure what the proper thing to say is. I can't pronounce them, so it's Yom Kippur and Sukkot. You have to help me.
You're on it. You got it.
I got it? Okay. It's also, this is amazing. October is very busy. It's World Teachers Day. It's World Mental Health Day. It's Diwali. It's United Nations Day. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And there are many more. So I just want to say the world should celebrate the good things that are happening. I have a special thank you for Member Locks. I don't know if you've seen the Marin County newsletter. Congratulations to you for 12 years of volunteering on the FAST team. Thank you. Done.
Okay, next. I'm sneaking in. You had Domestic Awareness Month there. You didn't say.
Yes.
speaking of that, I'm wearing a badge in honor of my mother. She's a survivor of domestic violence. I attended an event in the Canal de Nuestro Futura community. Darlene was there. There were some good tacos at that event. Thank you. Also, besides tacos, on a serious note, there was a good presence from police, fire department, from the different departments for this. So it was nice to attend that community gathering. Also, we had our own public safety open house. We got a VIP tour by Lieutenant Eberly. My son really enjoyed seeing Tango, the canine dog, and also the holding room. So it was very impressed. And I think I will end with that. Thank you.
Chair, several things to report. I still reiterate, I wish we were doing this at the beginning of our meeting,
It's much more fun.
not talking to an empty room.
Well, we have Dad. Dad is here.
Yeah, thank you for staying. I would like to give an update with the work group on youth and policing. It continues to go. We have met previously, and I did report out this summer that myself and Marilyn, we met with the youth, the Marin County Youth Commission, and had a listening session with them. We've been working in collaboration with Youth Transforming Justice, and we have a scheduled listening session on November 11th. We're anticipating about 30 students, which would give us about with approximately 3,000 high school students, about a 1% statistical, what's the word I'm looking for?
From all the high schools?
Yeah. So we will not be going into high schools, but it will be people who are participating in the Youth Transforming Justice program currently or have graduated out of it. But they have all been San Rafael High School students. After that, they will compile the information. Other things I would like to report out. I did attend and Member Locks did too. We attended the second civilian oversight county oversight committee. I want to acknowledge that their vice chair was in our audience. Compliments to city staff. Again, I know I did previously reiterate it, but I think we really have a solid foundation supporting us. And I do want to really also share again my compliments to how much support and how well organized we are in our meetings. And I think it's very well done. And
Can we bring them back?
Also, I was a block captain at San Rafael Porch Fest. I had a great time being a block captain and volunteering for that. And I am the president of the West End Neighborhood Association, and we held our annual picnic, and we had a fantastic turnout of probably about 200 people. And one of our best raffle outcomes too, of I think it was like $1,800. So it will help fund us doing more community events in the West End. Thank you.
Chair Tokolahi,
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, you didn't go. I have one thing. When you're done.
I want to finish, so you can go ahead.
Okay. And I apologize, but we had a very packed meeting tonight, but there was a recommendation out of the working group to start another working group. I just want to give this the opportunity. If you are interested on serving on the Equity Dashboard Working Group, you do not have to be a full member, you can be an alternate. Send me an email. I will send your names to Chair Tokolahi, and he will make his decision. Thank you.
Thank you.
The topic is equity, what?
It's the one,
It
number
has
4.
an equity
recommendation
dashboard.
4 that.
Oh, the recommend,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, go ahead, wrap us up.
I like that we all wear different hats, outside of this. We all have our jobs and families and whatnot, I'm heavily involved, outside of this, I'm heavily involved with a lot of stuff going on throughout the county, not just San Rafael. I'm in the Marin County Interfaith Board. Don't ask me why. I'm not a preacher. I'm not a church minister, but I'm there.
Oh, you like
I'm
to talk.
supporting that,
He's a rapper.
diaspora of like-minded folks, and we also wanted to include them in this city or in this county. They're an important pillars in our communities. And there's a lot of folks in that circle. With work, I'm also doing a lot of outreach in the communities regarding, working with the homeless population, from West Marin to Novato to Marine City. I'm everywhere working with these folks, whether it's housing, connecting them to mental health services. We work with social workers, licensed social workers who also help these folks. We find resources for them. If it's not in the county, we have resources outside of the county, so we drive them there. I personally drive them there. Like in the past month, I've drove 2 clients outside of the county to rehab facilities, way outside of the county. But those are some of the stuff that I do outside of this. DV, domestic violence, is amongst one of the highest crimes in this county. But I feel like it's not really, we're talking about a lot of other stuff, but there's also a lot of issues that are facing a lot of our folks in the community that needed attention. Maybe our work plan for 2026, we can bring this up, some of these issues. DV, DUI is huge, and there are other connected elements to DUI, the alcohol consumption, that includes that too. The other one that I wanted to finish off is, before that, I also wanted to say thank you for those who are still here with us. And if you are still online with us, thank you. I also want to recommend him for wearing his badge and his full uniform here to support his mom.
Darlene's son, yeah.
I know, to support his mom, thank you. I wanted to finish with, I'm now part of the men's and boys suicidal community here in the county. It's not a subject that we discuss publicly, but it's here, it's worse than we think. We don't see it a lot, but it happens around us. And I wanted to bring that to our attention too, because the numbers, I don't have the particular numbers, but I know the numbers in San Rafael is high. But that's another discussions. I just wanted to report back on, these are some of the stuff that we do, like these guys are doing the same thing, outside in the communities, like, the dads group, that's something, I think if you're listening and you wanted to support these dads group, or you wanted to start a dads group, or even the moms group, anything that would support our communities, help our kids at school, whether it's working on the crossroads or making sure that, someone there on the bus stop to pick them up. If their parents are late, someone is there to watch them, I think there are other stuff that we can discuss, that we can bring to this commission that also helps our community safety-wise and also grow together, Apart from all these other issues, yes, it's important too, but go back, talk to your neighbors, talk to your groups. If you have any other issues that you wanted to bring in, like we getting closer to that 2026 workshop, so that's the best time to bring those issues up.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen.
And to agendize.
And yes,
All right.
and everything else. Thank you. With that, this meeting is adjourned at 8:17. Thank you.